Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at something that stirred up quite a bit of discussion, maybe some confusion too.
Yeah, that QN platform AMA transcript from September 2025, it's definitely worth unpacking.
It really is. Because, look, if you follow QN Platform, you know they're trying to do two big things at once, right?
Serve enterprise clients with private blockchain stuff now.
While also building this top-tier, quantum-resistant public mainnet for the future. It's ambitious.
Very ambitious, and that leads to questions.
Exactly. So our mission today is clear. We need to cut through any, let's say, strategic fog. What's the real priority?
We can track the progress on those critical security audits. Can't launch without those.
Definitely not. And crucially, understand how these two paths, the private and the public, actually connect and support each other.
Right. Unpacking the actual go-to-market strategy for what they call this quantum-resistant hybrid blockchain.
Okay, so let's start with the biggest point of confusion, the one we see popping up all the time in the community.
Which is?
Has QN Platform basically, shifted gears? Have they quietly given up on competing with the big layer ones, Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, and decided to just be an enterprise, private-only provider?
Yeah, that's the core anxiety, isn't it? That the big public dream is fading.
But the CTO in this AMA tackled that directly. Said with absolute certainty, his words, that the public mainnet is still the #1 focus, the long-term vision.
They doubled down, still aiming to be a foundational layer for everyone, not just walled gardens.
So why the confusion then? If the goal is public, why so much talk and action on the private enterprise side first?
Well, the interesting thing, and they reiterate this, is that QN Platform was always conceived as a hybrid from day one.
Okay. So not a pivot, but part of the original design.
Exactly. Engineered for both private deployments and a public ledger. It's in the DNA of the project.
So the focus on enterprise now isn't abandoning the public dream, it's a strategy, a path towards it.
That's the argument they make. They believe that, realistically, mass adoption for truly new tech like this, well, almost always starts with businesses. Enterprise adoption.
Either directly, where a company uses it internally,
or indirectly, where, you as a consumer end up using a service that relies on the tech, maybe without even realizing it's blockchain underneath.
Okay, that makes sense. Like how GPS started military and is now on every phone.
Yeah.
Enterprise proves it out first.
Precisely. They prove the tech is stable, secure, scalable, and crucially, they bring initial transaction volume. So you're not launching a public mainnet into, like, an empty void.
Right. You launch with built-in activity from day one from these enterprise users.
It de-risks the public launch significantly. You have users, volume, and a battle-tested stack.
Okay. That logic tracks. But let's get into the mechanics. This is the part I really want to nail down.
Go for it.
If I'm, say, a big bank using a private QAN network for something secure, why do I care about the public mainnet? Why would my business need to buy QANX tokens?
Right.
Can't I just stay in my private lane?
See, this is where the hybrid design gets clever. The private networks aren't totally isolated. They're built to interact with and actually benefit the public mainnet.
How so? What's the bridge?
Two main things private use cases bring to the public mainnet. One is transaction volume, obviously, but maybe more importantly,
What's that?
trust and publicity. Having big established organizations, especially in finance or government, using your tech publicly, that's huge validation.
Okay, but how does my bank using a private net translate to connecting to the public net? What forces that connection?
Transparency and security. When that bank connects its private transaction history or proofs of it to the public mainnet, it makes their own operations more transparent and tamper-proof.
So they anchor their private data to the public chain for external validation.
Exactly. Think about regulators, partners, even their own customers. Being able to point to an immutable public record proving certain actions happen on their private chain, that's incredibly valuable.
Okay, I see the value for the bank, but does that require QANX tokens? Is that the mandatory link?
Yes, that's the key. To unlock that feature, the ability to publish those proofs from their private chain onto the public mainnet, they must purchase and use QANX tokens.
Got it. So it's not just an optional nice to have. If they want that external transparency and security layer, which their stakeholders might demand, they have to pay for it in QANX.
Correct. It ties the token utility directly to a necessary business process for these large organizations, not just, speculative trading or simple network fees. It's core operational utility.
Let's make this concrete with the example they gave. Sign Quantum. They flagged this as a big deal.
Right. So imagine that bank again. They adopt, Sign Quantum for signing digital documents, maybe loan agreements, contracts, whatever.
Okay.
Each time a document is signed using Sign Quantum, it creates a transaction log on the bank's private QAN enterprise chain. Could be thousands, hundreds of thousands of these per day.
Right. Standard internal logging.
But then to leverage that public transparency and security feature we just discussed.
They need to publish proofs of those signatures onto the public mainnet.
Exactly. Maybe individually, maybe they batch them up every few minutes, but that act of publishing those proofs to the mainnet.
That's what consumes the QANX tokens.
Precisely. So if Sign Quantum lands major clients, governments, big financial institutions who need that public proof of integrity, boom, you potentially have substantial, consistent, real-world demand for QANX tokens just flowing from that single partnership.
Okay, that paints a very clear picture. The private adoption directly fuels public mainnet activity and token demand through a required utility. That makes sense.
It connects the dots between the two strategies.
Speaking of things needing to be solid, security audits, nothing matters more right now. Let's shift to the final stretch. Where are we with the audits?
Yeah, the absolute gatekeeper. And there's significant news here, mostly good. Phase 1 is done, completed.
Phase 1 being?
The audit of the QVM, the QAN virtual machine, passed by Hacken back on July 29th.
Now, remind us why the QVM is such a big piece of the puzzle. They said it was like 70% of the total audit work. Why so complex?
It's all about developer accessibility. The QVM is the component that lets developers write smart contracts in any programming language.
Ah, not just Solidity or Rust like most chains.
Right. If your bank's team uses Java, Python, Go, C#, whatever, they can supposedly jump onto QAnon platform without retraining everyone. That's a massive advantage for enterprise adoption.
Okay, so it has to interact securely with all these different languages and the core blockchain functions.
Yeah.
Hence the complexity?
Exactly. So getting that huge, complex piece audited and approved is, well, it's like pushing 70% of the boulder up the hill, as you said.
Right.
A major de-risking milestone.
That really is significant. Okay, so 70% done. What's the focus now? Phase 2.
Phase 2 is underway right now. It's the X-Link audit.
And X-Link is the quantum-resistant part.
Correct. This is their post-quantum cryptography, the bit designed to make the network secure against attacks from future quantum computers, which could break today's standard encryption.
The future-proofing element.
That's the one. It's absolutely critical for the long-term vision.
And the timeline on that. The AMA mentioned October.
Yeah, the expectation is for the X-Link audit to be passed sometime in October. That's the current target they shared.
And they can't run these in parallel. X-Link has to finish before the final phase.
Correct. They stated there are dependencies. The final audit checks how everything integrates, including X-Link, so X-Link needs to be finalized and approved first.
Okay, so phase 3 is the final boss, the comprehensive integration audit.
Yep, that covers everything else. RPC interfaces, database interactions, the consensus mechanism, how developer royalties work, governance, the final token economics model.
Yeah.
The whole shebang integrated together.
And the potential mainnet launch date. Still waiting on that.
Still waiting. They were clear they'll only announce an estimated launch date after they get feedback from the auditors on the X-Link results and timeline. Makes sense, really.
No point guessing before then. What about the testnet? When can developers start playing with the audited code?
Also linked to X-Link. They plan to relaunch the updated testnet in October, after the X-Link audit concludes. That version will include the audited QVM and the newly audited X-Link code.
So developers can start building on something much closer to the final secure version.
Exactly. And alongside that, they mentioned improving communication. Starting in October, they plan to provide brief monthly status updates.
Which the community will definitely appreciate. Acknowledging the need for more regular updates during this critical phase is good.
Absolutely. Transparency builds trust, especially when you're waiting on technical milestones.
Now, while these audits are the main focus, they're not just sitting around waiting, right? There's other infrastructure work happening.
Oh yeah, definitely. They talked about building out the surrounding ecosystem in parallel, making it super easy for developers to actually use the mainnet when it launches.
Things like
Expanding the network of RPC nodes, getting a reliable indexer service in place so data can be queried easily, integrating trustworthy oracles for real-world data.
setting up validator pools. Basically, all the plumbing needed for a smooth developer experience.
Exactly, making the on-ramp as frictionless as possible.
Which brings us to validators and staking. What's the latest there? For people holding the token who might want to participate.
Still finalizing the details, apparently. They mentioned they're modeling the token economy variables, so they haven't committed to specific numbers yet, like the minimum amount of QANX needed to run your own validator node.
Okay, so no hard numbers on minimum stake size yet.
Not yet. But the key thing they did confirm, and this is important for you if you're interested in participating,
Yeah.
they are working with infrastructure providers to offer delegated staking services.
So even if you don't have enough QANX to run a full node yourself or don't want the technical hassle.
You can still participate. You can delegate your stake to one of these professional providers and earn rewards that way. It makes participation much more accessible to everyone.
That's crucial for decentralization.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, let's wrap with financials and partnerships. Any worries about runway?
They addressed that directly, confirmed the project is financially stable with enough funds to cover salaries, those expensive audits, and all the core mainnet expenses through launch.
That's reassuring. And partnerships. Obviously, Sign Quantum is key, but anything else?
They said they're actively expanding partnerships, with Sign Quantum acting as a major catalyst, and significantly, they teased a public announcement about the first major customer using QAN platform via Sign Quantum coming very, very shortly.
Okay, that's one to watch for. A real named customer using the tech would be a big proof point.
Huge. That's the kind of external validation the market looks for.
And finally, exchanges. Getting the native QANX token listed when mainnet launches.
Yep, active discussions happening with centralized exchanges. The goal is to have the native token listing align smoothly with the mainnet launch, replacing the current wrapped token.
Okay, makes sense. So let's synthesize. Boiling this all down, what are the two absolute key takeaways from this update?
Okay, takeaway one. The strategy is definitely hybrid, but intentionally sequenced. Enterprise adoption comes first to build a foundation, volume, trust, real-world utility that directly feeds and supports the ultimate goal, the public mainnet. It's not an either-or.
Right. And takeaway two.
The biggest technical hurdle, that super complex QVM audit representing maybe 70% of the work, is done, cleared. The launch timeline now really hinges on getting the X-Link quantum resistance audit passed, which they expect this month, October.
That simplifies the waiting game significantly. It all comes down to X-Link now.
Pretty much. Which leads to kind of an interesting final thought, something to chew on.
Ooh, what's that?
They specifically mentioned they're holding back the updated white paper until after all the code audits are final.
Delaying the documentation. Why?
Their reasoning is they want it to be totally complete and accurate, reflecting the final audited code, rather than releasing something that might need changes based on last-minute audit feedback.
So prioritize the working audited product over the descriptive paper.
Exactly. And it raises an interesting question for you, the listener, about blockchain development, doesn't it? What signal does that send?
Yeah. Is it better to ship perfect code first, even if the documentation lags? Does that build more trust because the focus is on the core tech?
Or does delaying the white paper leave potential partners or developers waiting too long for the detailed clarity they need? It's a trade-off between show, don't tell, and providing the map before the journey starts.
Asking the community to trust the function over the description, at least for now.
Something to definitely mull over as we head into what looks like a make-or-break quarter for QNSPN platform.
A really interesting point to end on. Okay, that wraps up our deep dive for today. Thanks for tuning in.
Catch you next time.